Gridania, nestled deep within the Black Shroud, is a city of breathtaking beauty, where nature and architecture blend seamlessly and serenity is seemingly everywhere. But, as with many things in Final Fantasy XIV, appearances can be deceiving. Beneath the tranquil surface lies a complex web of history, politics, and mysticism that challenges this idyllic facade. This video explores why Gridania stands out as my favorite starting city in the game, not just for its beauty, but for the rich lore woven into its history. We'll delve into the region's complex past and uncover the often overlooked details, including the mysterious origins of the Padjal. Speaking of the Padjal, let's start with them as one of the first signs that Gridania isn't as ordinary as it seems. Despite their appearance, Padjal are just Hurons born in Gridania. But at some point in their early childhood, they're chosen by the elementals, usually from strongly attuned families like the Senna, Jan, or Pessi. Once chosen, their bodies begin to change. Curved horns grow from their heads, and their aging process halts entirely. It's an anime trope, yes, but these youthful-looking conjurers are often hundreds of years old. And once a child is discovered to be a Padjal, they are taken by the Conjurers Guild to Stillglade Fane, given a new name, trained, and leave their old life behind. This process cultivates their newly found immense etherical reserves, sharpens their conjury, and deepens their ability to commune with the elementals in ways ordinary conjurers can't. Many see this training as essential. Without it, they risk losing control of their powers or being exploited. It's not an easy path. Padjal must follow the teachings and will of the elementals or risk having their powers taken away. And this isn't without controversy. The Conjurers Guild sees the process as a safeguard against abuse and catastrophe. And many Gridanians view them as holy or sacred, sources of infinite wisdom, protectors of the city, and more. But the families of those involved can feel slighted. Some parents have fought against the Conjurers Guild effectively abducting their children. While they may see them again, in reality they take a new name and are taught the Padjali ways, no longer a member of their biological family. So what do these Padjal actually do? You've likely seen a few of them around. Gridania's government is a curious fusion of spiritual communion and magical aristocracy. At its center is this Seed Seer Council, a body made up mostly, but not entirely, of Padjal. They are tasked with interpreting and enacting the will of the elementals. The most prominent among them are Elder Seedseer Kan-E Senna, her siblings Raya O Senna and Rune Senna, and E Sumi Yan. Over the years, the council has included conjurers of immense talent, all chosen or confirmed by the elementals, particularly the Great One, the forest's oldest and most powerful spirit. The council meets at the Lotus Stand, a ceremonial open-air site where the elementals can observe proceedings. Decisions are made in consultation with these spirits, but as any hearer will admit, the elementals don't really speak in mortal tongues. Their messages are subtle, they require inference, interpretation, and sometimes just educated guesswork. This ambiguity leads to policies that are both cautious and rigid, with debate often stalled by conflicting readings of the forest's will. Below these seed seers, these figureheads, are the hearers. These are conjurers trained to listen for the whispers of the elementals, even if they don't always understand them. Their role is different, but critical, ensuring that every aspect of city life, from logging to law, aligns with the elementals' will. They wear purple robes and hats, easily found in the city and out in the field. Hearers report their interpretations to the Seedseer Council, which helps shape Gridania's policy, industry, in response to crisis. This delicate balance between the elementals and humans has shaped Gridania into a society that is insular, cautious, and often unwelcoming. Gridanians are fiercely independent and deeply committed to ecological stewardship. Logging, farming, and hunting are all tightly regulated, with enforcement handled by powerful guilds like the Trappers League and the Carpenters Guild. Woodcutters harvest with explicit permission and must plant a seedling for every tree felled. Animal husbandry is rare, avoided for both spiritual and practical reasons, which has given rise to unique culinary staples like muntoi, a soy-like bean used in place of dairy across a variety of traditional dishes. In short, in Gridania, stewardship isn't just a virtue, it's survival. Every action from felling a tree to hosting a festival carries spiritual consequence. Newcomers, whether adventurers or outsiders, are often met with reserve, expected to earn trust through deeds and respect for the laws. This extends even within Gridania's own population. While the Hyur and Wildwood Elezen form the majority, Duskway Elezen and Keeper of the Moon Makote face persistent discrimination. With such strict regulations around things needed for basic survival, like cutting down trees or hunting for food, those without connections often struggle to feed themselves or find a place to live. This fuels deep tension between native Gridanians and anyone else trying to make a life in the region. A persistent thread throughout both the community and side quest flavor text is discomfort with Gridanians' unyielding devotion to the elementals. Critics point to the abduction of Padjal children, the refusal to offer aid when the elementals object, it is the will of the elementals, and the cold exclusion of the Alamegan refugees in their time of need. Others counter that Gridania's system, while imperfect or even oppressive, is the only way a mortal society can coexist with power so potent and arbitrary as the elementals. The city extends only as far as the elementals allow, and those who defy their laws or provoke the forest risk exile or calamity.
Oh dear. Is that a sword in the stump? Bad idea. Really bad idea.
To understand why all this is necessary to begin with, we have to look back at the history of Gridania's founding. In the late 7th century of the 6th Astral Era, during the Second Huron Migration, the original settlers, mostly Elezen, were forced from their homes and into the Black Shroud. Unaware of the elemental's presence, they found themselves under constant attack by forces they couldn't see or understand. Over time, they learned the truth. The forest itself was alive, and its guardians were not to be reasoned with. The elementals responded to every intrusion with fury, and the Elezen paid dearly in blood. And thus, the Elezen instead moved underground away from the elemental's ire. In time, the Hyur continued to expand rapidly, pushing their city bounds into the Twelveswood, the very forest the Elezen had abandoned. Like their predecessors, they faced the wrath of the elementals and stumbled upon the underground Elezen. Decades of war followed, as both peoples fought over the scarce, habitable land underground. But after nearly 40 years of bloodshed, they recognized their true enemy, the forest's fury. So they set aside their differences and forged Gelmora, a vast underground city that endured for nearly 3 centuries, giving both races shelter from the elementals.
The slightest disruption to the etheric flow. And this sort of thing happens.
While the Elezen and Hyur remained underground, the Ixal moved in above with the elemental's blessings. But that too didn't last. The Ixal expanded too far, exceeding what the forest could sustain, and in turn provoked the elemental's wrath. Gilmora saw this as a rare chance to return to the surface and petitioned them for permission. It took 50 years to earn the elemental's attention and reach an accord. Yoren Lightheart, a Huron mage of rare talent, led the effort, and at last the elementals agreed to let them settle the newly evacuated Twelveswood on one condition: they would defend the forest, and thus Gridania was born. Some years later, a child was born to Yoren's bloodline, who grew horns and ceased to age. This was the very first Padjal, envoy of the elementals and protector of the forest. The Ixal would eventually return, driven from the Black Shroud and into Abelathia's spine, a barren stretch with little to sustain them. Their numbers strained against the land's limits, and to make matters worse, newborn Ixals stopped being born with the ability to fly, and without flight, their hunting suffered and starvation loomed. Desperate, they returned, logging, hunting, and farming along the Twelveswood's edge, sometimes pushing deeper to survive. Gridania, bound by its new pact with the elementals, fought them off at a great cost. In response, the region founded the God's Quiver, an elite force charged with defending the forest's borders. About 100 years later, King Manfred of Alamigo launched an invasion of Gridania. Unable to repel the assault alone, Gridania turned to Ishgard, Ul'dah, and Limsa Lominsa, rallying the region's major cities into a united front against the threat. They repelled the invasion, but bitterness remains. Gridania has never truly forgiven the Alamegans, even now as their kingdom crumbles under Garlean rule. This is reflected in the current situation in Gridania: deep mistrust of outsiders, a rigid devotion to the elementals that shapes every aspect of life, and a long-felt bitterness towards the Ixal and Alamegans. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've never really made one like it before, but I love lore, and I love reading about lore, especially from in-game lore entries that a lot of people just skip or overlook. Heck, even I do it. That said, I'm only human, and just a YouTuber who does this for fun, so I'm not perfect, and there may be errors in this video with the lore. I'll leave links in the description to my various sources if you want more reading. And if you've got ideas or feedback for future topics, drop them in the comments. I have plans on covering all kinds of games from Final Fantasy XIV to Deus Ex, Inscription to Neon White. Whatever I'm playing, whatever I'm interested in, pretty much anything is on the table. For the most part, videos will be like this, me talking over somewhat related gameplay, because the lore and the narrative is the important part, not what's happening on the screen. Thanks for watching.